In this lesson, we're going to cover a few different analysis tools that can be used to interrogate an assembly. Specifically, we're going to cover the different measure distance tools. We're also going to cover how to find the center of gravity of the assembly, and we'll also look at interference checking. The file that I have open is called arborpress.iam, and it can be found in your Chapter 6 exercise folder. The measure tools, just like we were using inside the part environment, can be found from the tools pull down. And let's start off with the measure distance tool. With the assembly environment, there are three different options that are available for us. We have the component priority. In this case, we'll be able to select the subassemblies. The second one is the part priority, where we'll be able to select individual parts. Even if they are part of a subassembly, we'll be able to select through that. And then the third one is select faces and edges, and we'll cover the two of these in this assembly right here, being that there are no subassemblies. Either the component priority or the part priority are going to give us the exact same result. So in this case, if I come back here and select a specific component, you'll notice that it changes to minimum distance. If I come back here and select a second component, you'll notice here that it says minimum distance, and a red line appears inside the graphics window. If I spin the model, you'll see that I'm getting the minimum distance between both of those selected components. So that's what's going to happen with the part or component priority. We'll get a minimum distance between the selected components. The measure tool can also be taken by right-clicking inside the graphics window and click measure, and again measure distance. And I'm going to go back one more time. In this case, let's see what happens when we come back and select the select faces and edges option. So in this case, it would be just like you were working inside a part. This is where I can come back, I can select individual points, edges, as the case may be. So you can see the two different points that I selected. This happens to be 4.861 inches across. And if you go a little bit further down, you can see how that's broken down into the X, Y, Z. Just like you were able to do at the part environment, if you expand that, we can go back and add this to the accumulate, clear it, or display it. Also have the different units and the precision. All are available here as well. So let's close that back out. Again, under the tools, the measure angle, select two specific faces. In this case, or a face and an edge, and you're going to get that angle between them, just like you would expect. Also, the measure loop. If I come back here and select that face, it's going to give me the loop distance around that. And of course, measure area. Again, select a face, and we're going to get the area of that specific face, even though it's inside of a part that's inside this assembly here. Next, let's take a look at the center of gravity. If I go under the View pull-down menu, and I can slide on down here and click on Center of Gravity. And in this case, it's telling me that it's out of date. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And when I go ahead and do that, let me back off the model a little bit. You see that we get the triad showing us the X, Y, Z. Again, red is going to be X, green is Y, and blue is going to be the Z value. And of course, this value here is going to be relationship to the 0, 0, 0 of this specific part. Now, there's a couple different ways I can find out some information about where that actually is. If I right-click on the file name in the browser, click iProperties, or go under the File pull-down iProperties, and then under the Physical tab, click on Update, and you see that I get some information about the center of gravity. Now, I can also go back and see that inside the graphics window. If I change my priority level back to Feature or the Select Face priority, and if I move my cursor back over that, you'll see that I get the pop-up window there telling me exactly what the center of gravity is for that specific assembly in this state. Now, if I happen to grab the part here, let's change this back to part priority, and I'm going to grab the handle, and spin it around, you'll see as soon as I do that, the center of gravity grayed out. Now that's telling me that the center of gravity is no longer up to date. If I go under the Tools pull down, at this point here, I can go back and click on Update the Mass Property information. And again, once I do that, it's back to the regular colors where I can find out some information about the center of gravity. So in this case, let's go back and I'm just going to click under the Tools and let's analyze the interference. And in the dialog box, I can go back and I can set exactly which components are going to be defined for set 1. In this case, I'll just select a couple of components. I'll click on the define set 2, and we'll just add a couple of components for that set. And when I go ahead and click OK, Inventor in this case did detect some interference, so I could expand the dialog box and get some information about where that interference is. If I move the dialog box over, you'll see that it's also highlighting in red, showing me where that interference is. One more way of doing the interference, again, if I go back under the Tools, Analyze Interference, I could also put all of the components into one set. So when I go back and place everything into a single set, Inventor is going to analyze every component back to every component, which could take a little bit longer. But in this case, you see we get the exact same results as we did before.